Hey there and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a video all about Chloe fragrances. I have 4 to share with you, 5 bottles, but I have 2 of the same fragrance. And yeah, we're just gonna get into it. I've tried many fragrances from Chloe. I used to be super into the house and just like the original Chloe by Chloe, I used to love and be really into. And so I have all these fragrances now that I'm still into to a certain extent, but I find that you just have to know if you like the house or not, because they tend to have a lot of fragrances that have like the same sort of vibe. So we will get into it. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. So I have 3 minis and we're gonna start with the minis and then, well, they're kind of larger than minis, but anyways, and then we'll get to the 2 full bottles. And so the first one is Lovestory, and this is what it looks like, obviously by Chloe. And this is just little, they're the 20 mils, so they're actually still a good bunch. And the thing about Chloe's, I find in general, not all, but in general, they're very floral centric. So if you don't like true florals, you're really not going to be into the great majority, if not all, of their fragrances. There's one that I find is kind of the exception in my collection, and in general it was created to be an exception, and we'll get to that one. But you kind of have to like florals and a true floral to be into this, and this is no exception. Lovestory is really beautiful. It's got beautiful orange blossom and jasmine, and I find it really nice, super ultra feminine as well. I also find Chloe's are very, obviously because of the florals, but they're very feminine. I find that they can be really nice like mom fragrances, but at the same time they can be, I don't know, they can be youthful in a dignified kind of way. And I really like this. I really like Lovestory. It's kind of classic smelling because it's been around for so long. And so the other mini 20 ml whatever that I got was Lovestory Eau Sensuelle, and I'll spray this one here so I can, yeah. So what I really like about the Eau Sensuelle flanker is I think there's like vanilla or almond milk or something. There's definitely vanilla, but I don't know if it's necessarily almond or almond milk, but there is a creaminess to the Eau Sensuelle. And not like a very extreme gourmand, but like a touch of gourmand and a creamy milkiness to this that isn't in Lovestory, that I just love. I do love Lovestory, and I think if you like nice florals, full florals, white florals, then this is a really nice one, and it lasts a very long time. This is kind of subdued the floral and bringing in the most beautiful, and I'm not a huge vanilla person. It takes a while, and particular types of vanilla that I can actually get into. And the vanilla in this it's like a clean gourmand vanilla, and it's milky, and I love that. I love the milkiness that is in this, and I think maybe it's almond milk as well, or just almond. It's just, I don't know, it's stunning. I really do like this. I think this is, out of the 4, my favorite that I currently have in my collection. I do like some other Chloe's that I've tried, but you know, have either been discontinued or that I haven't had in a long time. But out of the whole bunch, this is the one I like the most, and yeah, love that one. Then we'll get to the last mini that I actually also own in a full bottle, and this is Fleur de Parfum by Chloe. So this is the mini, and then I do have it in the larger full-size bottle as well. The thing that's bothered me about this one, that the regular Chloe by Chloe has as well, and a number of her fragrances, is these top parts are actually silver. And so if you have like any oil on your hands or literally anything, and just with time, it kind of goes bronze and gets a bit discolored and oxidized, and I hate that. I really hate the way it starts to look. I understand it's like much more vintage vibes, but you can't really ever, I need like silver cleaner now, I don't know, whatever. So I'll just mention that. But this one, Fleur de Parfum, that I have the mini, and then I guess I must have forgotten, because when I saw this on sale, I picked this up as well. This is a really strong rose fragrance. And again, very big on floral, has a touch of citrus, but the rose in this is interesting. And I don't know if it's necessarily due to this note, because it's kind of a controversial note. It has rose pistil, apparently. And that's like the inner part of the rose that is technically like the female reproductive organ of a flower of a rose. And it's in this, which isn't in very many fragrances at all. And it gives it a touch of, I don't know, it makes it, maybe it's combined with that citrus. It just makes it so that it's definitely not a jammy rose, and it's not a like realistic tea rose type fragrance. It just gives it a quality that makes it a little bit more sexy, I think, and a little bit less like a bouquet of roses, just a little bit more, I don't know, grounded, I would say. And it's really nice. I find that I have more than enough to last me a lifetime with this 20 ml, and then this, I'm not sure, I think it's 50 ml. Yeah. So I have a good almost 70 ml still left of this, and I do really like it. But I would say still, until now, I would say my favorite is still going to be the Lovestory Eau Sensuelle. I just find out of all of them, it's the one that I find will be less likely to become dated, because the thing with Chloe's is I love them, and then I find like I wear them so much, like the Chloe by Chloe, and then they kind of like stay in that time period. It's not that they're dated as in they're vintage smelling, but they have a quality about them that just really reminds me of a certain period, more so than other houses, and I don't know why. And then I can't really remove it from that time, and I have to be in the mood for Chloe to wear Chloe, and when I am, it's great. But this Eau Sensuelle, just Lovestory Eau Sensuelle, has a quality about it that I feel like I could always get into, and I think it's that milkiness. I love milky fragrances, and it does a beautiful job of combining that orange blossom that I love with like a milky vanilla gourmand. So love that. And the last one I definitely want to talk about a good chunk of time with is the one that I find is the most different from not only this bunch, but a lot of Chloe fragrances, because even Love Chloe was more powdery. They all tend to be very floral and either like rose or orange blossom centric, and they don't shy away from the florals. They don't get, you know, dirty or chypre-like or super fruity or super woody. And the one that I feel really changed the game, which tends to be why if you're not into Chloe's, you'll still be into this, and if you're into original Chloe's, this isn't your favorite, is Nomad. And Nomad was a fragrance that I really put off for a very long time, because I tend to be more of like an OG Chloe type fragrance person, and this one just went in a completely different direction. And if you've read about Nomad, because a lot of people do like this, out of the Chloe fragrances, I find this is the one that I hear most people talking about. Most people that, you know, like under 30 are really into. And it seemed like the opposite to me personally, because I liked so much of those original super florals. And I was reading about it, and this is definitely a chypre. So if you like chypre fragrances, you're gonna like this, and if you don't, you won't. And I'm not a huge chypre person, I'll be honest, but there are some I enjoy. It's kind of how I am with a lot of fragrances. I might not be fully into a, you know, subsection of fragrance, but there's always some that I like, and it's, I don't know, it's the addict in me. And so I thought when I found this at Marshall's that I would give it a chance and just pick it up. And there was a long time with this fragrance. There was a long time where I couldn't stand it. And I think it was somewhat of that chypre element with the oak moss, but I think it was also the plum in this. It was just putting me off. And it's the same plum that's in Poison by Dior, which I also find difficult. And it's in this. And I gave it a rest, and that's what I kind of do with a lot of my fragrances that I still want to give a good try with. I will kind of leave them for a while and come back to them when, you know, a good chunk of time has gone by, and that's what I've done with Nomad. And only recently, this past week or so, did I start pulling it out again. And until now, I'm happy to report the past week, including today, I don't have that adverse reaction that I had at the start. I don't think I'll ever be at the level that some people adore this. This is like their go-to fragrance, or in their top 3, or definitely their favorite from Chloe. I'm not there yet at all, and I don't know if I ever will be, but it has changed for me in that the plum isn't so pronounced and almost like fig-like, and I really love that. I love how whatever it was or the time that's gone by, if you like plum and fragrances, you will like it, but if you're not a fan and you happen to have this fragrance, or if you want to try it out, I don't know what it is, but sometimes, and now I've finally started to have this, it kind of leans more into the chypre side, and a little bit more sweet than it, like sweet citrus, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the kind of tart, sweet and sourness of this fragrance that is shining a little bit more than it was at the start, when all I could really get was a lot more of like, I don't know, like a dirty kind of dirt, like also fruity fragrance, and that's really changed for me. So I'm really, really happy about the fact that I can start pulling this out. I think a lot more fall winter. I will also say all Chloe's that I've tried have at the very least decent medium projection, lasting power, sillage. You're definitely going to be projecting. They are all, none of them are very subdued. I think the one that projects the least, unfortunately actually, is the Eau Sensuelle. And it's because it's more milky and, I don't know, sits a little bit closer to the skin, but even this lasts a good amount of time. In general, the highest performing ones are Nomad and Fleur de Parfum. I think these two will last many, many hours. And that was also a thing that put me off to this, is in the beginning when I didn't really like it, it wasn't the best that it was lasting such a long time. And what's also really helped me is I do tend to layer this with other Chloe fragrances. Not the Eau Sensuelle, because I find that I need to wear that on its own and it's so delicious and kind of will just get overpowered, honestly. But I'll layer this either with the Fleur de Parfum or just regular Lovestory, and it brings everything I like about this to this. But this is still the powerhouse, and it'll bring some of, like, a touch of that dirtiness, a touch of that oak moss and tartness, which is a really nice way that I found that I'm enjoying my Chloe fragrances. So I hope that helped you guys get to know the house a little bit more, see which one is more to your fancy. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.